just watching a video about um, uh, prayer, and I was realizing that all sin comes from uh, pride or despair, and that despair is actually pride. Um, and you can see, first of all, how pride, if you think of the 7 deadly sins, to think about it, how pride attaches itself to experiences and evinces choices and temptation that bolster the sense of self over God. You can see how that works. And it's a little more complicated with despair, because despair does the same thing, pulls things into this sense of what? What is despair? Despair is a sense that I'm going to die. And of course, as Christians, we know that, yeah, being born again, living and dying, it's something that happens in the life. And so despair is really pride, is what I meant to say. And for all of the ways that despair evinces in our life, and all of the ways that we have little works that we want to do that are sorry, I'm just thinking that it comes from the Father, but it kind of filters through sometimes, and that's tough. Don't let that bring you to despair. Even that. Because all of these little machines of thought, these little places where Spirit does etwas, which is German for whatever, but it kind of means like whatever for something. Etwas, you know. Sorry. I'm sorry. That ultimately letting go is what fights pride most. And if one's feeling despair, like, oh no, it's time to let go. I've done it, and it's hard to do every single time. It's so hard to do, because the idea of what God wants me to do, wants us to do, is is sometimes something that gets pulled in to the self and is occluded by confusion and daily nonsense, and then we think that we're doing something that God wants us to do, and what we're really doing is some crazy little art project of the mind, and it doesn't mean anything. And so we feel despair even in our Christianity, saying, oh God, the devil's tasked to be. Really what has happened is that we forgot that if anything leads to despair or pride, it's got to be let go of. And that God isn't stymied by our minds. So a life of letting go is best. Sometimes the work requires helping something out, and that something has a way, that has a shape, and so we have to know that shape too for a while to help it, to bring it to God, to bring ourselves closer to God. We do grow up, we do learn, we do read the Bible and other things. Yeah, I put on some weight, didn't I? Feels good, doesn't look great, that's okay. So despair is pride, letting go is key, and my only bit of advice is that when one lets go, I found it easiest to just consider life on a worldly level as just being like, oh, I'm a fan of where I see good happening, and in potential and compassion of what it all is. So yeah, I just be a fan, and that pulls me into the place where it really is let go of, and I don't feel despair because I'm no longer putting everything on myself. Sorry, I'm fluffy. Um, uh, um, man, this time, huh? Boogie. Yeah, I like that. I like that I have a kind of like gnome that took its big cone hat off and put on some glasses and a driver cap and started driving around. It's a good look for me. So, thanks for listening. If you're suffering from despair or you're stuck in pride, let it go. Be a fan, and go back to prayer. Read the NIV Bible. Or better yet, listen to it. It's narrated by David Suchet. If there's something about hearing the Bible, the Gospels, read by someone like that who's faithful and brilliantly talented, that the word, yeah, it's pretty rich and complex, and or maybe it'll be simple for you. But just be a fan and let it go, and go back to the Bible, and remember that that's the choice that you're making, and that's the choice that you have. So use it, and do that with it, and have faith, and all of the things that seem like they should be by love will be, if you just start there. Thanks.